Hi, I'm Ashley Hribar. I'm an Australian composer and concert pianist, and I worked with Judith Buchanan in 2016 on a show for Silence Now called Hamlet, one of the older Hamlet films, and I'm very delighted to be part of this new project, Richard III, which will incorporate dance, speaking and live music, which I'm going to talk about now. Well, initially I didn't really know what was going on the screen. Actually, it was very difficult. There was a lot of action, a lot of people talking, and you couldn't tell who was talking to whom, etc. But after talking with Judith, we collaborated. She explained the movie. We sat down for quite a while and got to know all the quirky bits, all the important sort of humorous parts, the dramatic little moments of body language and that sort of thing. So Judith sort of put those little parts in focus, and for me to sort of highlight with music. So while looking at the film, I could get a sense of the atmosphere and the costumes and all the scenery behind and the set, and that kind of created a library, you could say, like a collage of ideas. And during the film, as I would improvise, I would just sort of they'd get bigger, this kind of library, and I'd just sort of extract those ideas spontaneously as the film would develop. So really, I basically just started twiddling around with ideas. I mean, I love Prokofiev, and that, in a way, that Prokofiev's music is very dance-like. So I was very inspired by his sort of jumping around kind of melodies. I used to play a little bit for dance, so that's where that kind of inspiration came from. But basically, that's where the ideas kind of came from inspiration, sort of visual inspiration from the movie. So Benson's interpretation is sort of a little more, very, as Judith would say, quirky and very funny, over the top, and he's sort of laughing and showing off, bravura, jumping around, and have a little bit of that sort of ragtime kind of feel. A little bit sort of, jolly good, that sort of thing, funny attitude, and it's sort of funny how he glides through and makes fun of everything, the whole thing. Kind of, it's like he doesn't take it seriously. It's quite hilarious. So for me, it was very important. Like this whole atmosphere is a little bit over the top and very funny, obviously. So I wanted to sort of take other elements and put a new dimension in it, which is toilet brushes. So I went to the bathroom. No, I didn't. I went to the store and got some of these brushes, which I've been inspired by other musicians have done this as well, but this is sort of more of a different setting. So I use this sort of for the murder scene, as you can hear, and it's quite fun. You just put the pedal on and creates sort of a lot of tension. Keep that palette going. Etc. Yeah. So that's sort of for the murder scene, but I also there's a few of those murder scenes, so I throw that in, which are the more improvised parts. But I also enjoyed this sound of using egg shakers, which has a very interesting effect, which another sort of a murder scene effect. So if you have the pedal on, it kind of opens up another atmosphere. It's like Chopin said that the pedal is the soul of the piano. So you can do all sorts of things. Just sort of anything you do creates this sort of percussion sound. When the guts, when the bodies sort of drop dead, it's when they kind of fall down like that. What I've got here is actually a mute for the piano, which I invented. A lot of string instruments have mutes, so why not piano? Which is funny. Piano is actually a stringed instrument. So I put those in so I can get this cool effect. Good thing about that is I can just sort of switch, sort of slip it on inconspicuously and use both hands. So it's got kind of a very cool bass. And I'll use that at the very end anyway. But the wooing of Lady Anne. So Lady Anne was sad of her father's murder, and then all of a sudden Richard comes along and tries to woo her, and it's kind of shockingly funny. So which is that was very innocent sort of sound. And in comes Richard. So he's just sort of there's a lot of bit of tension there. You can hear it in the music. It's she can't stand him, so Richard still tries to entice her, and then eventually she gets kind of charmed. And then what I do here is I add a sort of a bit of a the hypnotic trance-like effect, which is simple to do. You just got to using sort of, they call it in France flageolet, which is the same note as that. So of Lady Anne. Another compositional element was the dream sequence, which I'd done before using a sort of a ladle, and I just put it here on the piano, on the strings, and just gently put the pedal on to create this kind of spooky effect. What you can also do is play single notes. It works very good here as well. It's very spooky. The final battle scene, Battle of Bosworth, I'm using a lot of this sort of pedal point, which is where you have one note in the bass, and I use a sort of one of my single mutes there. It sounds a bit like Doctor Who, actually. But anyway, this is Richard III. So I started just using my finger to get that kind of harmonic effect. And they're sort of sword fighting. And of course I'm looking at the movie here while I'm kind of playing and recording. funny part is, what I really enjoyed was getting a bit of heavy metal into it. So, not that I'm a metalhead, but I kind of like the idea of something a little bit more unconventional, which is what I did here. So they're fighting, Richard's fighting with, depends on which piano you're using. Sometimes if you knock here, it has a different sound. And with the pedal you can hear that kind of reverberation. So pretty bang, yeah. So that was a very fun aspect. It was basically just using my hands here to mute the strings. Very dancing. And this part here I added from Judith's suggestion. So working with Judith has been fantastic because she has such a good eye for the image and a fantastic imagination to know where in a whole movie the points are that would kind of bring it to life. So, which she'd already pointed out, the funny parts, the sort of the moments that normally might be missed in a silent movie. Should have a very good sense for capturing those moments, and the feedback has been very good, great too. Like we've initially we looked at the movie together on Skype, and she just explained the whole movie, and I went away and then did some credits and scores, some ideas and sketches, and then we sort of embellished on those. And Judith's ideas were basically to bring more of the sort of emotion out there, and in other places less, and but it really worked. And from a musical perspective, it was, I like the approach that in a way that Bernard Herrmann used to do for his movies, which was have a kind of sort of cell idea, so you could just sort of shuffle the ideas around. So it wasn't such a big drama if I had a huge phrase. I mean, they were also, the cool thing is, it's a little bit like a Lego. You could sort of put them together in a different order and it didn't really matter. So that's a little bit my approach, which I find kind of simple when you've got things changing always. Yeah, just to keep it sort of flexible and open. Initially I was just going to play this sort of solo piano piece in the beginning, but then Judith suggested put something like a little bit more like inside piano to sort of give it that added dimension from the beginning. So we basically, so I put that in at the very beginning from here. Seeing the crown, I want the crown, and then etc. And then just sort of that's Richard sort of playing, dancing around, wanting to sort of being sort of drawn in to the crown. I think one of the biggest challenges was trying to play what I've written, and also remembering it, because my mind has a lot of ideas, especially when the film, if I'm improvising to the movie, I come up with ideas and I go, wow, that's kind of cool, and remembering those ideas and capturing them, that's kind of the hard thing for any composer, really. So, and also the just the technical aspect. Yeah, it was a little bit tricky. I had to practice it, but it was good for my brain and my fingers. So yeah, that was probably the hardest aspect, is to encapsulate sort of the ideas, as well as developing a library of ideas and remembering them and using those while they're always expanding within the movie. So that's kind of a challenge, I think. So it's definitely inspired me to broaden the capability of the piano and the performer as well. So what I like to do is just embrace the whole instrument by using it as a percussion instrument. I really love mixing everything together, you know, using a bit of toilet brush. Yeah, and so getting into just embracing it fully, not just on the keys. I mean, it's sort of, you think of the piano as intended to play here, but this is like a huge resonant sound board. That's yeah, I like to kind of merge those two. So this is what's been very inspiring by working on this movie. So that's been fun.